Hello everyone. I hope you found the previous video on the introduction to essay writing interesting. So we have looked at how to write a good introductory paragraph that hooks your reader to the essay. But is it enough to just have a great opening? Imagine reading a book that starts interesting, but the story doesn't carry forward the hype that the first few pages have shown. It would be such a letdown, isn't it? Well, that's why it's so important to carry forward the interest that we have generated in the introduction with the body of the essay. Before we begin writing our essay, let's always first read and understand the topic well. What are we exactly supposed to write about? And once we have established that, let's not just dive right away into scribbling whatever comes to our mind. So there are certain steps that you could keep in mind. Perhaps it could help you to approach the process of writing. It's always a great idea to begin with brainstorming. So brainstorming, it involves jotting down whatever ideas come into our mind. Many a times we tend to put a filter to our own ideas, rejecting our ideas even before we can develop them into full-blown stories. We never know what potential a seemingly silly idea might hold. So, don't reject any idea yet, just keep making a note of them. To give you an example, if we were writing an essay about, say, what would I do if I won 1 crore rupees? When we are brainstorming, we could just jot down whatever comes to our mind. Do I want to straight away deal with the money that I have won? How do I plan to spend it? Or do I want to begin with how I got my hands on so much money? Let's say I decide to begin with how I won it in the first place. So, did I win a lottery? Maybe I won it on KBC. Perhaps a relative left it to me in a will. Lucky me. Or better still, I could have won the jackpot in Las Vegas. But hey, let's not forget the essays about what you would do with the money. So, even if we decide to include how we won it, we might want to keep it brief. Let us also jot down ideas for how to spend that money. Am I into charity? Am I going to donate my money? Do I have a dream that I need to fulfill? Well, if I decide I'm going to donate it, who am I planning to donate it to? To the farmers perhaps? Or maybe to the army? Or to an orphanage? Your ideas could be as many as possible. And once I've jotted down how I'm going to spend my money, I might also want to let my readers know the reason of my action. Am I moved by the difficulties faced by the farmers? Or perhaps I have a sense of obligation for those who guard our frontiers? Or I want to fulfill my parents' dream of owning a house? Of course, we could use it in more ways than one. So let's keep brainstorming and jotting down all our ideas. It makes it easy for us to pick the best. Now that we have our ideas, let's arrange them in a proper sequence. It's always important to put your ideas in a proper flowing sequence. An important thing to remember is sometimes we may have so many ideas in our head and we want to experiment with all of them. But in the end, we end up creating a very hazy picture of what we actually would have liked to convey. That's why I call it decluttering. Pick out the best and go with those ideas. Build on them. I know it's tempting to use all the ideas we've generated, but would it not end up confusing the reader at the end? Therefore, it's very important to be clear about what we want to say. Sometimes, without our knowledge, we tend to deviate from the topic. Many a times we get carried over and end up describing things in great detail unnecessarily. Like saying, I would spend 1 lakh on this, 2 lakh on that. As a reader, would you be interested in knowing the specifics? Ask yourself that question. So once this is written, your first draft is ready. But remember, it's not your final piece yet. Imagine making a clay pot. Would you present it the minute you take it off the potter's wheel? Or would you rather fine tune it? Perhaps you would want to smoothen the rough edges, maybe even paint on it. A piece of writing is no different. It needs to be polished. So once a piece is ready, let's go through it with a fine comb. Check for grammar and spellings. Yeah, I'll cover this aspect in detail at the end so you're sure about what you have to do. And when all this is done, that is when your final draft will be ready for presentation. Having a checklist is a good idea.
We could read the essay out loud to see how it reads. I like to tick off the 5 T's on my checklist before the final draft is ready. What do these T's stand for? Well, the first T, it stands for topic relevance. Are all the points I've covered relevant to the topic given? Have I diverted from my topic? Are all my points in harmony with each other? Or have I contradicted my own points? Do I need to rewrite any point, or do I need to delete some part? The second T is for clarity of thoughts. So each para that I write must emphasize the main idea that my essay revolves around. What is the point that I'm trying to make? The facts that I've presented, the arguments that I've made, the references that I have given, are they all centered around the main idea? Are my thoughts completely clear to the reader? The next T is for transition. Do my paragraphs flow into one another? Meaning, is the next para connected to the previous one? Does it take off from where I left it in the previous para? Do my ideas progress from one para to the other smoothly, or do they sound unrelated? The fourth T is tying together your thoughts. The thoughts that I've expressed, do they feel connected and tied up? Have I grouped the similar points together, or are they scattered all over my page? Is my essay well structured? Have I given sufficient information? Could I supplement my essay with some more facts? Or have I described things in so much detail that they've got boring for the reader? So not too much to go overboard, not too little to seem insignificant, but just right enough to build a good essay. And the last one is text polishing. Have I checked my spellings? Are my sentences grammatically correct? Can I use a better word? For instance, instead of saying she was very happy, can I say she was exuberant or she was ecstatic? Well, once I'm done with writing the draft and checking it for consistency, we'll find that reading the essay out loud also helps us tick off a few more things. Is my essay interesting or is it boring? Will it put my reader to sleep? Now, with the SMS lingo taking over our conversations, it is not uncommon to find it creeping into our written language as well. Let us also check if we have inadvertently used short forms or SMS language in our essays. Many a times, we may quote facts from a website or a book. It is a good idea to mention the source. We must always give credit to the source of our information. It is ethical and right. Sometimes we do use search engines to research, but passing off somebody else's work as our own, I'm sure you'll agree it is wrong. It is called plagiarism, and yes, it can land us into trouble, serious trouble. I believe that we as humans are blessed with a lot of creative cells in our brains, and it is refreshing to let the creativity shine through our write-ups. So the more you read, the more you practice, the better you'll be able to write. In my final video, I'll talk about the conclusion of the essay and also going through the essay with a fine comb. Until then, keep writing and take care. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you.